What's up, everybody, and happy Monday. I feel like it has been raining for forever. Like, I'm so sick and tired of this rain. It's getting on my nerves. But anyways, so today is this is going to be a huge vulnerable video for me. It's a touchy subject for some people. I don't, this video is about grief. A little backstory for me. I unexpectedly lost my dad 2.5 years ago from a massive heart attack. It was the hardest, the most horrible, gut-wrenching time of my life. I was also just getting over having suffered from a pulmonary embolism at 26 years old. And then a month later in August, my dad passes away. My world got turned upside down. It will never be the same. I'm still trying to find my new normal, even though I have a child and I'm married, and I still have my mom and my grandparents and family and other family and friends. Nothing feels normal. It's like I have this huge gap in my life, this hole, this void that will, I guess, slightly get smaller, but it will never, ever be full again. So what I actually decided to do is, and for those of you that have lost a loved one, whether it be a parent or a sibling, or, you know, you were really close to your grandparents or a child, I highly suggest getting this book. It's titled Please Be Patient, I'm Grieving, and How to Care for and Support the Grieving Heart. So not only is this book for other people to read to understand the grieving heart, it also helps you kind of feel like other people understand what you're going through, because the way this book is broken down, the beginning parts of the chapters are compilations of what other people have sent in about how they feel during grief. And then the last part is kind of like an explanation to other people how to understand the grieving heart, somebody else who is grieving. So I figured that I would do a few videos to go through this book, maybe a chapter or two each video. So these videos are gonna be a little longer than what I have done. This book has, well, I can get there. So it has a conclusion, but it has 9 chapters and a conclusion. So I may do 10 videos, I just may do 5 videos. It just depends on how many chapters I can get through in one video. So I hope y'all enjoy these. It's something near and dear to my heart. It's something I'm still coping with. And there are other people out there who need people in their life who understand what grief is when you lose somebody like I did that's really, really close to you. So We'll get started with chapter 1 today. It's titled Show Up and Enter Their World. Just a kind of an overview of this. The people you have in your life after a loss like that make all the difference in the world. They really do. You know, some people are good for you and some end up not being good for you. What people need to understand is when they say, I'm here for you, you really need to follow up with that, because the people who are grieving sometimes don't know that they need people in their life. But when they have people like that actually follow through with saying, I'm here for you, and are actually there, it means more than you will ever know. So chapter 1 is Show Up and Enter Their World. So it starts off with a quote saying, this is terrible. It's like my insides are being put through a meat grinder. Grief is deeper and more painful than I thought. You can make a huge difference in the life of someone who's grieving. It begins by showing up and being willing to enter their world. So this part is actually coming from the grieving heart, and it says, imagine you've lost a close friend or relative. The news hits like a tsunami, knocking you senseless. You're stunned. The shock and pain are intense. The people around you express sympathy, perhaps even empathy. You feel their concern. They say they will be there for you. You're counting on them more than you know. They go back to their routines. You can't. Your world has stopped. Your heart is broken. People are compassionate and give you permission to grieve for about a month. Y'all, that is not an adequate amount of time at all. I don't understand how jobs can give you like 3 days or a week to grieve and expect you to come back and just jump back into the working world without having issues getting back to your normal routine, because nothing is normal anymore. So people are compassionate and give you permission to grieve for about a month. If you're not back to normal by then, they wonder what's wrong with you. Y'all, that is like a stab to the heart. That is a major insult. That what's wrong with you? I mean, come on, for real. I lost my dad. I lost my mom. I lost my sister. I lost my brother. Do you really expect me to be okay after a month? Come on. All right, you feel judged and belittled. You discover it's not safe to grieve. You try to hold it in, but it's eating you up inside. Powerful emotions surface and pound you without warning. Nothing is normal or routine anymore. Y'all, I have broken down and cried in the middle of Walmart because I think I was on the Valentine's Day aisle, and me and my sister used to get my dad the huge chocolate Hershey Kisses for Valentine's Day. And I saw one of those and busted out crying in the middle of Walmart. And I had people walking by me, looking at me like I was crazy. You know, I still feel uncomfortable crying in public because, just like this said, you feel judged and belittled, and you discover it's not safe to grieve. Because everybody is so judgmental. Like, let me cry. You know, why do you have to look at me like I'm crazy? All I'm doing is crying. If you are really, ask if I'm okay or something. Anyways, those you counted on don't call or initiate. They look uncomfortable when they see you. You sense their impatience and disapproval. You feel them pulling away, and you notice your relationships are changing. This is awful. You didn't expect this. A new loneliness invades your heart. You feel sad, vulnerable, confused, angry, and even embarrassed. Grief is deeper, tougher, and more complicated than you ever thought it could be. Y'all, relationships change so much after the loss of a loved one. The people who don't really understand your loss, your grieving process, and the grieving process is different for everybody. Like, my grieving process is different from my sister. it's, you know, all of what this just said, the judgment and the belittling and the people expecting you to be back to normal after a month. Your emotions are so raw for the longest time after the loss of somebody. And they hit you without warning. They really do. Like I said, I was in the middle of Walmart. I've been eating pizza, and a song came over the jukebox, the speaker thing in the restaurant. And I had to go to the bathroom because I didn't want to sit in the booth bawling my eyes out in front of all these people I didn't know. So I had to go lock myself in the bathroom until I could compose myself enough to come back out and finish eating my lunch. Like, you know, even though one person is gone, the person you lost is gone, you feel so lonely and confused about what to do. Like, I went to my dad for everything. And a couple days ago, I was doing something and I actually forgot for a second that he was gone, and I went to pick up my phone to call him. And it's been 2.5 years and I still did that. Grief is so weird. It affects you. It constantly affects you. It changes your emotions. It changes your outlook on life. It changes relationships. You know, for me, it's made me be more passionate as a mom, as a parent. So it's painful and it's hard. It is so hard, especially when you see other people in your family going through that same loss. You know, even you feel at a loss for words sometimes, but being there for those people goes miles and miles and miles, for real. Like I did the video about mom friendships. Like, that ties into keeping friendships after or while you're still grieving after the loss of somebody. Having those types of people in your life that will be there when they say they're going to be there and support you and all of that. Like, that has helped me with this grieving process more than I realize sometimes. And having a supporting husband, because he was really, really close to my dad too. So, you know, just having the support from him and my close friends it means so much to me. So the last part of this book, or this chapter, is an explanation to the people who, it's an explanation to the people who have a friend or another family member who are grieving the loss of somebody. So this says, people make a difference. Loss is painful. It crushes hearts, steals dreams, and destroys relationships. Grief can be terribly lonely. Those who are grieving need us. They need you. As a pastor and hospice chaplain, I've had the honor of walking with thousands of hurting people through the valley of grief. Watching their pain, recovery, and healing, I can say the following with great confidence. People make all the difference. When someone is hurting, people around them are crucial. Some are helpful, others are not. People who choose to show up and be compassionate help grievers feel loved, accepted, and supported. Sadly, this is not the norm. What I hear most often from hurting people is that they feel misunderstood, embarrassed, judged, belittled, neglected, ignored, invisible, abandoned, and rejected. This is not surprising. Pain is uncomfortable, and we typically don't deal well with it. Whether it's ours or someone else's, we would rather skip grief altogether. After all, who wants to hurt? Your grieving relative, friend, neighbor, or coworker needs you. They don't want you to be superhuman. They don't need perfection. They don't want you to spiritualize the situation or try to make things better. Rather, they're hungry for you to know what they're feeling and experiencing and join them in it. They want you to enter their world and be with them if you're willing. So that kind of breaks it down for the ones who haven't been through a loss, just to kind of help understand a grieving heart and a grieving mind. So the closing of this chapter is, you can make a huge difference. Your presence and influence are more powerful than you realize. So grief takes great patience. People in the midst of loss choose this title of this book because grief takes great patience for everyone involved. And the key to patience is understanding. This is a journey to better understanding the hurting heart. Listen, consider, stay open, reflect. And this ends with a quote saying, grieving is as natural as crying when you are hurt, sleeping when you are tired, or sneezing when your nose itches. It is nature's way of healing a broken heart. So that was chapter 1. Y'all, if you have somebody in your life that has lost somebody, please reach out to them, be there for them, try to understand as best as you can what they're going through. You know, let them cry, let them talk about their loved one, let them do their thing. Like I said earlier, everybody's grieving process is so different, so different. It's just be there for your friends, or your other family members that have gone through the loss. That's all I can really say about that. So I'm only going to do chapter 1 today, so I can go back through chapter 2 and kind of read through things before I do another video. But I really hope that this video helps other grieving hearts. I empathize with you. I hear you. I understand you. I'm there with you. If y'all ever, if a fellow grieving heart ever needs to talk, just message me on Facebook, find me on Instagram, even comment on my YouTube video. So find me on YouTube, BritNic's Journal. Subscribe to BritNic's Journal. So today's video came from this book, Please Be Patient, I'm Grieving. I highly recommend getting it. So I will see you guys next time for chapter 2. Thanks.